Welcome back to the channel. Today we have the one and only Dan Grieve to talk you through, and me, how to play the 3 releases. This is the gold, this is what everybody needs for their short game. Dan, thanks so much for doing this.
Pleasure, good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. And we're going to go through release 1, 2 and 3 and talk about the non-negotiables, the things we must get right. Let's take it away.
Okay, well, so the 3 releases are basically 3 ways to swing the club. I call it release, but it could be called a swing. So it's how the club swings through the ball, which allows you to play 3 different ball flights, like a low, a medium and a high, whether it's a low running shot or a medium high spinning shot or the lob shot. So kind of 3 ways to do it. And I just sort of came up with it really to create absolute clarity so golfers can coach themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to have understanding in that. So shall we start with the release 1, chip and run?
Yes.
Okay, now I do think how you set up to the ball is just absolutely key. And really one thing I teach when I do my schools here at Woburn, it's like, I just want to make sure everyone is absolutely world class over the ball. I don't think there's any excuse, or any golfer of any level shouldn't be able to set up like the best player in the world.
Totally.
Right.
There is absolutely no reason. You've got no excuses. So if you're thinking of an excuse right now, going, oh, but no, my left heel's a bit dodgy. No, there's no excuse. We can get our setup absolutely nailed, and that's what we need to do.
That's it, yeah, and it just makes it much, much harder to hit a bad shot if you're set up at, into that world class 10 out of 10 level. So here are some of the key points that you got to look for, and I'll go through some of the faults I tend to see as well. So a lot of golfers set up for short game shots as if they're playing like a mini full swing shot rather than a specialist short game shot. So for me, in an absolute nutshell, long game we want a little bit of weight transfer, finishing like this, and short game it's all about rotating around that lead side. Okay. So it's more rotation rather than that transfer, which creates power, which is great for long game, not good for short game. So I like to see the front foot here flared out. Very easy way to sort of remember the stance is 1 golf ball between the heels, 1 club head between the middle of the feet, and 2 between the toes. Right, so we have that front foot slightly flared out. That allows you to rotate through the ball better as well, because the hip sits into sort of an externally rotated position. But also when you flare that foot, you get this nice pivot line that I call it, that runs from the foot through the knee, through the hip, and into that shoulder. And once you create that line at address, you then actually have something in which you can rotate around, because I see a lot of golfers, I'm sure you see it as well, Iona, where the golfer will set up with this sort of big tilt and probably most of the weight on the right hand side for a right-handed golfer, and then of course it's so easy to hit way back on the ball.
Yeah.
And really I like to get that ball first contact on this chip and run release 1 shot.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure we've got that left hand pivot line, and the chest here is in front of the ball.
Yeah.
Like that.
Can I tell you one thing I see a lot, Dan?
Yeah.
I'm going to just show you relative to the ball, because you might not think you do this at home, and I've got family members and friends that do this when I play golf with them, and they go to do a little chip shot and they set up like this. And I say to them, do you normally have your feet that wide when you chip? And they're like, well, this is normal. And I'm like, no, it's not that normal. I'm like, have a look at the guys and gals on the PGA, the LPGA, next time you switch on the golf, and just watch how close together their feet are. You might think this is kind of standard for like a chip, but really it might feel a bit weird to begin with, but you just want to bring them right together. Yeah,
such a key point, it really is.
Yeah.
And if you stand like that, you've got the capacity to swing up here.
Yeah.
Remember, we're trying to hit a little 10-yard shot. We want to set up for a 10-yard shot, not set up for a 100-yard shot or 200-yard shot. So how you stand to it is really important. Trying to get your shoulders nice and level if you get this line here. And then really the sort of a key bit as well in the 3 releases is how you set the wrist. So I coach sort of 3 wrist positions. So to hit the ball lower, you want to get your hands higher. So nice and flat there from the top of the forearm there to the top of the thumb. I look like it nice and flat there, so you can see the angle that way. And then if I want to hit the ball higher, I get my hands lower. So very simple way to remember. It's just the opposite. Okay, so to hit lower, you get your hands higher. That then, of course, will then pull you into the ball for free. You'll get closer in there, and from there, ball position just back to centre. And I think the final thing, just make sure you relax. A lot of golfers get very tight, don't they, over the ball?
Yeah.
So you just got to try and let your arms hang naturally. And I see a lot of golfers having their arms like this on the club, and there's so much tension. You ask me to swing like that, I'm going to hit lots of thin shots, because there's just no flow in the swing.
Yeah.
So I think the one thing that people watching could just really take on board is just shake the tension out and let the arms hang naturally. And our arms all have a natural fold to them. No one's arms would naturally sort of be like that, but some people, put their arms on the golf club like that. And then you get set up there, then you've got a great chance to hit a good shot.
Let's see one then, Dan.
Okay, well, I've got my 56 here. So, and that's the other thing I think with this release one, you understand you can use it with any club in the bag.
Okay.
You could do it with a 7-iron, a 9-iron, a sandwich, depending on how much you want the ball to run.
Okay.
Less loft. the ball will run more. And then in terms of the swing, I'm looking to just make sure we return it to that left hip position as we go through, and then we get a nice bit of check there with a 56, and then hopefully they're nice and close like that. Beautiful. But you can see how the butt of the grip is finished on that left hip.
Yeah.
So I like to hold the finish. Number one, because it's good, it looks good, doesn't it? Holding the finish. It looks professional, but number two, you can coach yourself. Like if I finish like that, obviously I know I flipped it.
Yeah.
So I think holding your finish is important. That's release one. But yeah, just if there's more green, obviously use less loft. I'm a big fan of that, and you play a lot of golf up at St Andrews, where obviously it's a good idea to use less loft.
Absolutely. I tweaked my loft a little bit since we've reconnected, Dan. You inspired me to get a 56 back in my bag.
Okay, nice.
You talk about holding the finish. I think holding the finish can also help to good tempo.
Yes.
If you're in a rush and you're it's kind of,
totally agree.
If you know you're going to try and hold it, it kind of encourages you somehow to have a slightly nicer tempo.
And also as well, you get away from hitting the ball rather than if you hold the finish, you collect the ball.
Exactly.
There's a big difference between hitting and collecting. And you hold the finish there. Very good. I like as well, if you look at, I know you've got your chest, the hands and the club head matched up. So that is matched up. It's like in sync.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not sort of underneath and flippy or driving it too far this way. So that's a nice position to be in the follow through there.
Very good. Okay, that's release one. Let's head into release two.
Okay, so release two is when you've got less green to work with. So imagine, we can go for the same pin, but imagine you've got to carry it at least halfway now because there might be a mound or something you've got to carry it over. And this is where reading the lie is quite important. Like if you had a lie where it was sitting down, it's quite hard to find a bad lie here at Woburn, which is but to be sitting down a bit, then that would be hard to play, because really this shot is about having a slightly indirect contact, as in we're actually looking to hit the ground first on purpose.
Okay.
And then what happens then is the club can slide underneath the ball, and that's what slows the ball down through the air and creates that softer landing shot with a little bit more spin. So again, setup important. You get a little bit wider for this shot. Ball position now goes to a left heel rather than the right heel for a right-handed golfer. And we have the shaft in line with the back of the ball. You see, so we're not leaning it because that takes the bounce off the club.
Yep.
Right. And then we're into the second wrist position. A little bit more angle there. If anything, you could almost like loosen the grip a bit more for this shot. So I like to feel I'm holding my fingers and not my thumbs.
Yeah.
Right. So really like there. And that basically allows the club to sort of swing itself a little bit. The weight very much left again, but you can slightly lower your right shoulder now because we are looking to hit behind the ball. So you don't need to be as stacked that way. And don't be afraid of this. Like if you can really hit back behind it and still get a good result, and a few things in the swing just to think about, really getting the club into a toe up position is really important there. That's probably a common fault I see where, again, that wouldn't be a bad long game move, would it?
No.
So you've got to get it
slightly hooded.
Slightly hooded there. But for this shot, you want to get the club into a toe up position.
Yeah.
And then be smooth. It's really about tempo here. Just letting that club just very softly swing, and that's what gives you the spin there. It's going to work on my alignment a little bit. But you can see how spinny that was, and there's no real divot because what I'm doing here is just letting the club flow through the ball. Okay, and it just sort of works out really, really softly there. And a really soft landing shot, really.
How much wrist hinge do you need, Dan? Like, people can sometimes, I think, myself included, I say people, I'm really talking about myself. Self-projection here is that I can sometimes get a bit, a bit exaggerated with the hingey, but we need a bit of hinge, don't we? Yeah,
but I would actually say aim for no hinge. And if you're gripping it light enough, the weight of the club should give you a hinge for free.
Right.
Yeah, because you're absolutely right. I think some players kind of looking a bit like this, like really trying to help it up. I would really go with the fact that, okay, thumbs are light on the grip. I'm going to go wide. The hinge will happen automatically, and then we come through and it rehinges automatically.
Okay.
You've got to be relaxed for this. You've got to be nice and chilled. Okay?
All right.
You're good at this shot.
We love chilled golf. That's the way to do it. Okay. Right.
Very good. It's caught a bit of the ground, but the ground's soft. It's a little bit soft there, but that's not a problem. Let's do that again. Just take it back and stop. Let's just check. This is the main thing. So making sure for you get that club into that toe up position there.
Right.
And then you want that sort of spell in the downs where the club just falls on its own weight, and then you open up this way.
Okay.
And if you can get the club face more or less looking at your left shoulder and you follow through, that's a good spot.
Ah, nice. Yeah. Okay. One thing that goes through my head with this shot is how far away am I allowed to take the butt of the club from my sternum in the backswing? Like, is it allowed to leave? Because sometimes I think, it's got to
Yeah.
Keep it really
no, I
tight.
think for you, I'd go wider. And for
Wider.
most, you go wider, and then as you come through, your arms melt in.
Okay.
And it narrows.
Got
so
it.
It's like a wide to narrow swing, this one. Don't open the face quite so much. A little bit squarer. That's it. Don't need to open the face as. That's lovely. Look at that melting elbows. Great shot.
That was really nice.
That's
so
a great shot.
Wide to narrow.
Wide to narrow.
Got it. That's an incredibly helpful little tip. Let me hit one more.
That's beautiful now. That's it. Get those elbows folded in.
That's it. That's perfect. It's such a beautiful shot. I love that. I could practice that all day, especially here at beautiful Woburn. But that's number 2. Hope you've made some notes because we're moving on to number 3. Let's have it.
All right. Well, the 3 is really when you're in a bit of trouble and you've got to hit it up, lob shot. You're landing it as quickly as you can with a land angle, so it's coming down as steeply as you can into the ground. Again, really lie dependent. If it was sitting down and hard pan, there's different, more advanced ways you can try and hit the lob shot. But that's not for today. But really, if assuming the lie is okay, as in like there's a little bit of grass under it, you can give this a go, particularly out of the little bit of light rough as well. It's quite a nice shot to play. And yeah, nice wide stance now. So we're looking at a good platform. Left foot out here at 45 degrees. Low with the hands, you know, into wrist position 3. So we're nicely down here. That sort of automatically gets the hand going over the grip, by the way. Like, the lower the handle gets, the more the hand comes over. So it puts more cup in the wrist.
Okay.
And slightly reverse the upper body. And this is really now from that position, with that wrist hinge, it is going to hinge. You know, so that sort of setting at the address is going to create the wrist hinge free. Work on the club face, looking back at your face here. And then release it now to the back hip. And then keep turning. And again, that club face is looking back at your face here. And that just allows it to slide. We're really looking for using the wrists a bit more now with this shot. Sort of hitting that big high one. It just lands like a bag of sugar there and really close. It just lays down.
Yeah, that's amazing. You couldn't do it much better than that.
Oh, you can follow me there. Come on, you can do it.
And
that was with a 56 as well. So you don't particularly need all this loft.
That's what I've got, the 56. So, okay, it's all about the setup, as Dan's saying. You've got to get this right. So, a little bit of foot flare.
Yes, love that. 45, yeah.
Little bit of back.
Yes.
And then laying the shaft neutral.
And low hands, yeah. You feel those low hands down. Bit of knee flex here. Really feel like you're sitting down. And then hinge it. Just do a little bit of a check in the backswing to make sure the club face is looking back at you here. You feel that, so then you get that cupping there.
Yeah.
And then as you come through, it releases. And it's looking back at you there, and of course then you'll keep turning, you'll stick it in the holster.
Got it.
Yeah?
Got it, right. So it's there, and it's there, and it's there.
Yep. Look at that.
Oh.
Went up your left nostril.
That was whippy, wasn't it?
That was really good.
The sound of that.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. And do it again, just do a little bit more chest speed, and it'll just go a little further, but that was a great lob shot.
It was that feeling of this club looking at me that really gave me something to work with there.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And as I say, it's a shot hopefully you don't need too much in a round of golf.
Yeah.
If you get this frequently when you play, you probably need to have a good look at your long game. Right, but you know, a few times a year you're playing it where it might be great match play shot, isn't it?
It's great,
it's worth the risk. Sort of
you need to put a bit of pressure back on your playing opponent. Dan, thank you so
much.
No,
absolute pleasure.
Always a treat to have your time, and we really hope you've enjoyed this simple but very helpful video with Dan Grieve and the 3 releases. Please subscribe to Dan's channel, subscribe to this channel so that we can bring you more content. We really, really appreciate it if you could take the time to do that. Thank you. See you next time.